Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway. This is a very tricky fight, to be honest. I feel like I say that a lot. Anyway, this is honestly one of the trickiest fights on this particular card. I could argue that it's probably one of the trickiest fights, rather, for the whole entire year. Largely because I feel like there are qualities that are both good and bad about both athletes, right? Um, if this was my old prediction strategy, I generally would have went with Dustin Poirier. I'm not gonna lie to you. If this was me, if this was me like 2 months ago, 2 3 months ago, I generally would have went with Dustin Poirier. I'm not gonna lie to you. However, my new strategy, man, I think this is the first time since I've ever started this channel where I'm not sure who to pick, right? Because officially I've picked Max Holloway, but a big part of me thinks Dustin Poirier is going to win. My subscribers are also equally confused because they were 50-50 when I was doing my analysis, when I was doing my predictions video. And currently, my subscribers are now going with Dustin Poirier. They're no longer picking Max Holloway. So I need to actually add a note inside my predictions. Vinod Kuma, who's gonna win? DDP versus Hamza. I'm going with Hamza Chimaev. So so this particular fight for me personally is one of the most hardest to actually predict. And like I said, I'm not alone in this particular boat because my subscribers initially went with Max Holloway. They are now going with Dustin Poirier, which just goes to show the level of difficulty that is involved in actually predicting this fight. Um, but let's actually try to get to the depth of it. So Max Holloway, Max Holloway has decent output, but I don't know. I think Dustin Poirier has more output than Max Holloway, if I'm not mistaken. Dustin throws a lot, right? On top of beyond anything else, I think I can't forget the Dustin Poirier's performance against Islam Makhachev, right? Because in my opinion, I think that was the best Dustin Poirier we've ever seen. At the very least, for me personally, I'm not gonna speak for anyone else, and that was the best Dustin Poirier we've ever seen against a grappler, right? The mere fact that the grappling element will not be present in this particular fight genuinely worries me because it feels like Dustin Poirier won't have to worry about Max Holloway taking him down, and that might potentially open up his boxing abilities and like his aggressiveness. Why are these words running from me? His aggressiveness as far as trying to get the finish, moving forward because he knows the threat of the takedown is not there. His performance was pretty decent, even though Islam Makhachev obviously clearly won that particular fight. The mere fact that he was able to get to the final round was significantly impressive, right? And he was doing really well in that particular fight. He lost, but I think that was probably his best performance so far. Normally, he gets finished by champions, and Islam Makhachev is number one, and he actually managed to get to the fifth round. That fight for me was like, damn, this is probably the best Dustin Poirier I've ever seen. Max Holloway, and I've said this a lot when I was speaking about Ilia Topuria, when I was breaking down the fight between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira. Max Holloway will probably not outrightly knock you out unless you stand in the pocket with him and you decide you want to trade with him. You plant your feet and you're like, let's go. Max Holloway is probably going to knock you out if you do that. But if you keep moving, Max Holloway is probably going to get a decision, or he's going to knock you out via TKO. It's going to be an accumulation of strikes as opposed to one shot that just ends it all. Who the fuck? For viewers down bad. Yeah, man. I mean, that's how it is, man. So in any case, Max Holloway, to be honest, I genuinely don't know if he has that ability to actually finish a fight without volume, right? So in this particular situation, another thing, so in case, so in any case, okay, who the fuck? I mean, my dude, who is listening to this, Max Holloway, gobble gobble. Okay, um, okay, maybe I shouldn't be reading your comments. So basically, this guy just came into my stream just to say all of this nonsense. But it's cool. I mean, everyone on the internet has to find things to entertain themselves with. So back to what I was saying. So Max Holloway, I feel like, man, it's honestly very difficult to actually analyze this particular fight. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I'm going with Max Holloway. My subscribers are going with Dustin Poirier. A large part of me wants to go with Dustin Poirier, but it's kind of difficult for me to actually go with um, Dustin Poirier, considering the fact that he's a little bit older now. I also have this concern of the fact that, what do you call him? I have this concern that Dustin Poirier, the first two times that he fought Max Holloway, the first time, Max Holloway was still basically debuting in the UFC. And the second time, Max Holloway was not necessarily moving up the right way. He didn't build on muscle. He just, what do you call it? He just gained weight, or rather, didn't cut weight. That's basically how he moved up. I think this is going to be the first time Max Holloway is actually properly prepared in this particular fight. And I don't know, man. I genuinely don't. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is going to be the first time that I've ever broken down a fight, and I genuinely don't feel like I fully know who's going to win. Let me just outline the advantages and disadvantages on each side, and then I will basically go from there, right? Um, so let me actually check something here. So I just wanted to open up my notes, just that they're taking time to open up. Who the fuck, my guy? I'm going to respond to you if you stay long enough. I'm going to respond to you. I just want to get my thoughts out. Um, I know that you're trying to troll me. I'll give you an opportunity to troll me once I'm done, and I'll respond to your comments. Right? If you want to troll, I'll give you that opportunity. Just wait for me. Um, so I genuinely wanted to just go through the notes that I actually wrote down, but it is what it is. I'll just give you the advantages and disadvantages in the meantime while loading. So this is my criticism for Dustin Poirier in this particular fight. Not like he's past his prime, despite the fact that he put out probably his best performance in his last fight. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing is that the second thing for me personally is that Dustin, like I said initially, Dustin Poirier fought Max Holloway. He didn't fight prime Max Holloway, right? The first time, like I said, he was coming in. He was still very new in the UFC. Obviously, he lost. The second time, he didn't technically move up. He just gained weight, or rather, he just didn't cut weight. So for me, that's not what I consider a proper Max Holloway. And this is coming from a guy who actually picked Max Holloway against Justin Gaethje. When Max Holloway was fighting Justin Gaethje, everyone was saying, "Oh my God, Max Holloway is gonna lose. Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier is going to knock him out," and all these type of things. And Max Holloway ended up knocking out Justin Gaethje, right? So, and that's probably one of my proudest picks. I'm really proud of that pick. But yeah, this is coming from someone who actually have has been really good at predicting Max Holloway fights. So far I've been really good at that, but in this particular fight, it's kind of hard because on one hand, like I said, Dustin Poirier is past his prime. On the other hand, Max Holloway is a volume striker. He doesn't have that much power unless you stand in front of him and you actually try to knock him out, right? Or not, yeah, basically that's what happened with the Korean Zombie, and that's what happened with Justin Gaethje. That particular fight was going pretty decently. I wouldn't say Max Holloway was just destroying him, even though he was actually winning. I wouldn't call it like a complete dominance up until obviously the knockout. That's probably the most iconic moment of that entire fight. But apart from that, I I don't feel like there was anything that was that impressive that Max Holloway was honestly doing. Elijah Youngblood Pizarro, I lost $40. Um, those 2 weekends, brother. Fuck Lewis. Sorry, my guy. I'm genuinely, I'm also like honestly surprised that Texiera actually lost that particular fight. I'll make sure I respond to everyone once I'm done. There's a guy in the comment section who's trying to troll me. I don't know if he's still around, waiting for me to finish or not. But I'll check before I actually start responding. So Max Holloway is a volume striker. Um, and because of that, I'm a little bit worried that Dustin Poirier might win the same way he won the first time. Like, um, I'm subscribing, my boy. Much love from Brazil. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to the family. Um, Dustin the Diamond for sure. Yeah, man. You know, I could see that happening. This whole stream, yeah, I've been battling with myself as to who to go with. On one hand, I genuinely feel like Dustin Poirier is honestly the better fighter. I don't think it was a fluke that he won the first two fights. But on the other hand, I feel like Dustin Poirier is past his prime at this particular point. Um, Max Holloway is still very young. You know, he still has that. He still has title aspirations, and even commitment in training, even in the fight. If the fight gets too difficult, like who is pushing themselves a little bit more in training? I'm willing to go with Max Holloway probably because he's had the experience with Ilya Tuporia. He still has title aspirations, so he's probably trying to prove himself, especially after being knocked out in his previous fight. He's coming into this fight obviously trying to prove that he can actually still compete with Ilya Tuporia. Because in this particular situation that Max Holloway is in, he has the ability, or rather, he's probably the only fighter who's going to be 3-0 against two different fighters in the UFC. That kind of history is kind of sad. And at the same time, he needs to actually show not just the fans but the UFC that a rematch with Ilya Tuporia is going to be somewhat competitive. And in order for him to do that, he should know that he has to dominate this fight. And I genuinely feel like Max Holloway still has title aspirations. And because of that, I feel like he's going to push himself a little bit more than Dustin Poirier, who is basically training to retire at this point. Max Holloway is training to become a champion. And I think that's probably going to make the difference. in no way am I defending my pick, right? Because when I started this dream, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was telling myself, nah, man, I'm going to go with Dustin Poirier. But the more I spoke about this particular fight, it made me just look at a variety of elements that made me feel like, you know what, this is probably one of the closest fights. And when you consider the fact that the first time, or rather the second time, let me not count the first time, even though Max Holloway lost to Dustin Poirier twice, I'm going to focus more on the second time because at the very least Max Holloway was a champion at that point. And I don't want to say at his peak, but I mean he had a championship, so I think it's fair to argue that that was probably the best version. Not the very best because, like I said, he moved up. He didn't cut weight. He didn't actually move up. You know what Alexander Volkanovski did, and you saw the results of actually moving up the right way. When Alexander Volkanovski moved up to fight Islam Makhachev, he actually built up muscle, right, and then cut down to 155. So Max Holloway, when he fought Dustin Poirier, he didn't do that. He just didn't cut to featherweight. So because of that, I feel like, and even with that, right, that I would classify that as a fat Max Holloway, not a lightweight Max Holloway, right? The second time, I'm willing to argue that the reason why Dustin Poirier won that fight, and I rewatched that fight about 2 days ago. I rewatched that fight. The only thing that won Dustin Poirier that fight was damage, right? Max Holloway was landing more than Dustin Poirier, if I'm not mistaken. But Dustin Poirier, when he landed, man, it was brutal. And I felt like that was because Max Holloway didn't move up the right way. So because Max Holloway is moving up the right way this time, not just moving up, he's actually committing to staying at lightweight. I think I don't know, man. I think Max Holloway actually is going to have the advantage because in that second fight, it was still competitive. Even though Dustin Poirier actually ended up winning, it was still a little bit competitive. But still, I genuinely feel like he put up a good fight, despite the fact that he didn't build up muscle in order to allow him to have the strength to actually land significantly against the bigger guy. For me, that second fight was basically a featherweight fighting a lightweight, quite literally. Not how a lot of fans like to say it, like there's a difference in power. I guess we'll see, man. I guess we'll see. A lot of people were saying the same thing against the Dustin Poirier. I mean Justin Gaethje. Going into that fight, a lot of people were saying Max Holloway is going to lose. Justin Gaethje has more power, and we all know what happened in that particular fight, right? So for me, I'm not willing to actually say that there's a power difference because even if you argue that, I still feel like Max Holloway might be able to find a way to actually get it done. I'm not going to die on this hill because I came onto this dream actually thinking about going, thinking about going with Dustin Poirier. My subscribers have officially decided to change their pick to Dustin Poirier. Initially, I wanted to go with Dustin Poirier, but in this particular fight, I'm going to go with the younger fighter who is a former featherweight king, a former not even a former featherweight gold. Like not he might not be the only one. He's one of, let me say, let me put it like that. He's one of the featherweight golds. And I feel like he's moving up the right way. I think his commitment, his ambitions are a little bit better as far as propelling him to train a little bit more. Dustin is retired and Max wants to be a champion. I think he's going to train a little bit more. So I don't know, man. I just feel like I haven't said enough in this particular fight, but in this particular breakdown. But I don't want to make this stream a lot longer than it has to be, especially considering the fact that I want to go break down two more fights. But yeah, in conclusion, um, I don't know. I was. I was intending to my pick when I started my live stream, but I ended up deciding not to, because I feel like the second time Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway fought, Dustin, what do you call him? Max Holloway was significantly smaller than Dustin Poirier, and that's why his strikes were not as significant. And I know everyone is saying Max Holloway is gonna get knocked out. They were saying the same thing against Justin Gaethje, and I will repeat that. I picked Max Holloway against Justin Gaethje, and I was right. He slumped Justin Gaethje, and I know a lot of people make an argument. He broke his nose early, and that's why. Cool. Make the argument that you want to make. That's cool. But I still feel like Max Holloway is going to be slightly, not by much, the commitment to becoming a champion, the youth, because we can't forget that Dustin Poirier is like 36, going on 37 or something like that. That's going to impact some of the things, like his ability to take a punch is going to decrease. Cardio is going to be a little bit different. Um, so yeah, man, I think I'm going to go with Max Holloway. My subscribers are going to go with Dustin Poirier. Let me try and respond to some of your comments. Where's where's that guy? Who the fuck? Who? Where are you, man? Are you still online? Otherwise, I'm not responding to those comments. Um, Esua Morier. What do you think about Islam? Dulatov. I'm going to actually break that fight down. In the next in the coming days. Actually, before I go, let me give you the statistics of this particular fight. Actually, um, the notes that I actually made. So as far as reach, oh shit, my Dustin Poirier has the reach advantage. Dustin Poirier has a 3-inch reach advantage, and in a striking match, that's massive. That's honestly massive. Finishing ability, oh my goodness. Dustin Poirier has a 77% finishing rate. Max Holloway has a 56% finishing rate. Why am I reading these? They are now making me second guess myself. Max Holloway is going to be better as far as output. Um, he's going to be throwing a little bit more than Dustin Poirier. Um, Technical striking abilities. I think it's gonna be close when you combine the fact. For me personally, as far as technical striking abilities, I think both of them are pretty decent. Technically. So yeah, I think it's going to be very close. As far as grappling abilities, I don't know. I feel like I'll give the advantage to Max Holloway. Dustin Poirier is easier to take down, so because of that, I think I'll give the advantage to Max Holloway. But because the fight will probably play out on the feet, I don't know, man. I feel like the reach advantage is going to be huge in a striking fight, but at the same time, the volume, both of them are pretty technically good. So I don't know, and especially because Max Holloway is coming off of fighting Ilia Topuria, I think that experience is going to be very good. He's going to be prepared. He's going to prepare a little bit more, or a little bit better because of that. So yeah, man, I'm still going with Max Holloway. A part of me wanted to change my pick, but um, I'm going with the youth. I'm going with the championship experience. I'm going with the mentality of wanting to become a champion versus the mentality of this is my final fight, right? The guy who's going to be more driven in gym to prove themselves is Max Holloway because he still wants to be a champion. Dustin Poirier is going to, obviously he's a professional, but he's going to come in there and be like, I want to put on a good performance for my last fight. That's not enough drive to actually come in and look sensational. In his last fight, he had incentive to look exceptional because obviously that was his last chance to become a champion. I don't know if he's going to actually put in the same level of training. I don't know if he's going to have the same level of drive to win. But I mean, that's the BMF on the line, so maybe he wants to retire with it. Who knows? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm still going with Max Holloway. Mr. Meme, did he predict a UFC before GTA? um, Usa Poirier, much love from Brazil. I'm subscribing. Welcome to the channel, man. Elijah Youngblood. There's a difference in power. Okay. Um, Pure Path Brotherhood. Poirier has too much power. Once again, a lot of people were saying the same thing against Justin Gaethje. Um, Joe LeGroux, I fear for Holloway's chin in this fight. He has taken a lot of damage and now it has been cracked. Dustin hurt him bad in the second fight. I agree, but like I said, I felt like Max Holloway was not a lightweight when he fought Dustin Poirier. He was a featherweight. And what I mean by that is that he didn't build on muscle when he moved up in that particular fight. And that's why when Max Holloway was landing, it wasn't doing anything. It's similar to Israel Adesanya when he fought Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz was able to have that much success because Israel Adesanya did not build muscle. He just moved up as a middleweight. That's why. That's basically what I think it came down to. Um, Jack Solo said hi. What up, man? I'm actually closing the stream. I'm going to break down the co-main event. If you want to rewatch the stream, it'll be available on the live section of the channel. I love and appreciate all of you. Until next time, deuces.